Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth, and fancy seeing you here in June. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. Welcome back to Big Mouth, and you can keep this and any other conversation I ignite continuing over on my Twitter at Movies TV Mad, over on my Vero at Big Mouth 1, and the extension of this channel is on my Instagram, Big Mouth. So Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is coming in December, and the fandom menace would have you believe it's the biggest disaster in movie history. Don't buy their agenda. This film is going to be epic. J.J. Abrams, this could be his greatest achievement, so don't buy the negativity. Now, we know that Doomcock's been putting these videos out there about multiple cuts, the changing of endings, and a quote from Bounding into Comics is from J.J. Abrams is that so much is still being worked on. Now, we've got to be careful. We don't know when these quotes were said, if these are recent quotes or new quotes, but creators do work on their films right to the very end. And every creative in the history of films has multiple cuts of their movies, and they don't decide which one they're going to use right to the very last moment. So none of these things are actually negative. But as I say, the fandom menace are desperate for The Rise of Skywalker to fail. Go watch the movie, make your own minds up. So this is an article from Bounding into Comics, which basically is a mouthpiece of the fandom menace. You can compare it to Fox News being the mouthpiece of the Republican Party and Donald Trump. This is actually a well-balanced article, so let's give it a read. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams confirmed that the film doesn't seem anywhere near finished as it nears a month from its planned release date. Totally normal. Abrams spoke with Entertainment Weekly saying, "We always knew we were going to have fewer months to post-production this film." He then adds, "So much is still being worked on. It's literally a practical race to get it finished." Again, typical of modern day movie making. However, Abrams revealed he's feeling infinitely better about where The Rise of Skywalker is compared to The Force Awakens. He goes on to detail that he had more reshoots and more story adjustments for The Force Awakens than The Rise of Skywalker. "We had more reshoots on Episode 7 than this one. We had more story adjustments on Episode 7 than this one. We didn't know if these characters would work, if the actors would be able to carry a Star Wars movie. There were a lot of things we didn't know on this. We knew who and what worked, and everyone was doing the best work I've ever seen anyone do." Abrams then details The Rise of Skywalker is far more challenging, but the ambition of this movie is far greater than The Force Awakens. What we set out to do was far more challenging. Everything is exceptionally larger on this. Then he teases that the 2.5 trailers that have been released for the film are scratching the surface of what the movie is. In fact, Abrams revealed to EW that there are action scenes from the film that have not been showcased in the trailers. Now, it's been pretty obvious from the beginning that Abrams didn't really want to reveal too much of this movie, and it's not a case of them hiding it, it's a case of the fans being surprised when they see it. Rumours about The Rise of Skywalker indicate there are multiple cuts, typical of movie making, of the film which radically changes to the story in each of the different cuts. Again, typical. In fact, one of the cuts reportedly brought in George Lucas to introduce a new secret Skywalker. Probably George Lucas has been involved with this from the very beginning. Related rumour, Disney remaking almost whole movie of Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. That's a lie. One rumour from the middle of October reworked almost the entire film. Abrams' quotes will more than likely not settle any fear. Abrams' quotes will more than likely not settle any fears fans might have. I don't have any fears for this film, and nor should you. Will more than likely not settle any fears fans might have that the film is a complete mess. It is not a mess. In fact, he appears to be confirming those fears, noting they are crunching to get the film finished. J.J. Abrams would not come out and say that if he wasn't confident. At the end of the day, it's always a race to the finish line to make a big movie like that. So there's nothing weird going on. It isn't a disaster. Don't believe the agenda. He does attempt to alleviate those fears, stating The Rise of Skywalker had less story adjustments and reshoots compared to The Force Awakens. But based off the leaked plot details, that might not actually be a good thing, as many Star Wars fans are skeptical about the return of the Emperor and the old Imperial technology shown in the various trailers. I am excited for Palpatine's return. He's an epic villain, and it sounds awesome to me. Relating, new alleged Star Wars Rise of Skywalker leaks reveals film's ending and the fate of Kylo Ren and Rey. As far as Abrams says, he feels infinitely better about the Rise of Skywalker. He said that multiple times while promoting the film back in May, he detailed the difference in his approach between The Force Awakens and The Rise of Skywalker. Working on 9, I found myself approaching it slightly differently, which is to say that on 7, I felt beholden to Star Wars in a way that was interesting. I was doing what to the best of my ability I felt Star Wars should be. He then detailed how The Rise of Skywalker is different. I felt slightly more renegade. It felt slightly more like, fuck it. I'm going to do the thing that feels right because it does not because it adheres to something. If he's doing the thing that feels right, it could explain why he's feeling infinitely better. Of note, Abrams and his Bad Robot production company also signed a deal with Warner Media, reportedly for $500 million. We are extremely excited about the potential to deliver remarkable, memorable stories and characters across multiple platforms to audiences around the world. JJ, Katie, and all of the Bad Robot bring extraordinary vision, exquisite filmmaking, and blah, blah, blah. Right. It's possible he just doesn't feel the pressure after signing a deal reportedly worth $500 million. What do you make of Abrams' quote? Does it alleviate your fears about the film, or does it get you excited, or does it make you believe the movie isn't even more dire straits than you might have originally believed? Look, it's not, considering this is bounding into comics and it's a mouthpiece for the fandom menace, I don't think that article should scare you one little bit. Because I'm doing this video to alleviate your fears, not to listen to the fandom menace. Now, if you're a member of the fandom menace, and I'm a former member briefly, but then when one of them started coming at me, I woke up and realised this is a negative, aggressive movement who should not be listened to because basically they just have an agenda to rise negativity. The Rise of Skywalker is not a mess. In fact, from what I'm hearing from my sources, The Rise of Skywalker could be one of the best sci-fi epics ever made. And this is an ambitious project to tie the whole Skywalker saga coming right back from A New Hope and tie it together into one big saga. Whatever we think of The Last Jedi, and I was underwhelmed by the film, I think J.J. Abrams is back. His Force Awakens Star Wars movie made so much money, one of the biggest box office successes in film history. Now, we have to balance this out and say that the most recent Star Wars film, Solo, A Star Wars Story, was a box office and financial disaster. But this is J.J. Abrams' baby. It's been his baby from day one. He started this journey with The Force Awakens. I can't see any other result here than at least $1 billion box office and a really good film that pleases fans. But some people in this fandom, you can never please. This is the fandom who hated the midi-chlorians, right? Which to me was kind of interesting, right? But to them, it was disgusting. They forced poor George Lucas off the franchise. It's their fault that he sold because of the pressure and negativity they pushed his way. And now, a lot of them have created the fandom menace, and now they hate Disney Star Wars. Disney owns Star Wars. We've got to go on this journey with them. Sometimes we'll like what they do, and sometimes we won't like what they do. But for me, my advice to you is go and judge the film for yourselves. Ignore the leaks. Ignore what people are saying. I believe in what J.J. Abrams is doing here. I believe in what Chris Terrio wrote with J.J. Abrams. Chris Terrio is an Oscar-winning writer. So be hyped, be excited. You're going to see a lot of former characters, a lot of former beats tied up. And with George Lucas acting as a consultant in this film, you should feel a lot better about this as well. When I'm in the UK in December, I shall be going to watch this film with my brother. And if I like it, I'll tell you. If I don't, I'll let you know. But I've got a really good feeling The Rise of Skywalker is going to be epic.